Hi folks, welcome to Vimu's World once again. We are back with a new video and this time we are going to see a list of world leaders who were infected with coronavirus or were quarantined. We all know this deadly virus has halted our lives since January of this year. Major businesses are hugely affected across the world and several economies have slowed down. But there is nothing more important than human life. So let's take a look at the leaders who were infected or were quarantined. Ishaq Jahangiri. Number one on the list is Iran's first vice president Ishaq Jahangiri. Early in March, when pandemic became known to have spread in Iran, a website called Iran Wire reported that Jahangiri was also infected. However, an official confirmation came only on March 11. In the following week, his office announced that he has recovered and tested negative. Justin Trudeau. Canadian Prime Minister Justin Trudeau quarantined along with his family in Ottawa when his wife Sophie Gregoire was tested positive. Neither the PM Trudeau nor their three children contracted the virus. Prince Albert II of Monaco. 62-year-old Prince Albert II of Monaco was infected with the virus on 19th March. He was the first head of the state who publicly announced that he tested positive. He also urged people of Monaco to follow coronavirus restrictions. Within 2 weeks, the Prince Palace authorities declared that he had recovered. Angela Merkel. German Chancellor Angela Merkel self-quarantined in Berlin on 22nd March. A couple of days earlier, a doctor gave her a vaccination who later tested positive. After 2 weeks, the Chancellor came negative and resumed her office. Prince Charles. 71-year-old Prince of Wales Charles was tested positive on 25th March. He self-isolated with his wife Camilla, the Duchess of Cornwall, in Scotland. The Duchess tested negative. It was not clear from whom the prince got virus since he attended several public events early in March. Boris Johnson. In the last week of March, British Prime Minister Boris Johnson confirmed that he had contracted the virus. After worsening of symptoms, he was moved to ICU and kept there for 3 days. He was given oxygen but did not need a ventilator. After recovery, the Prime Minister's words were, "It could have gone either way." Next in the line is Russian Prime Minister Mikhail Mishustin. He was diagnosed with COVID-19 on 30th April. 54-year-old Prime Minister who took the office in January this year decided to self-quarantine and informed about his infection to President Putin by a video call. Riek Machar. South Sudan's Vice President Riek Machar was found to have infected with the virus on 18th May. Many other cabinet ministers were also found to be COVID-19 positive during that time. Nikol Pashinyan. 45-year-old Armenian Prime Minister Nikol Pashinyan announced on 1st June that he and his family had contracted the coronavirus. In a Facebook live video, he said that although he tested positive, he wasn't experiencing any symptoms. He also assumed that he was infected by a gloveless waiter who delivered him a glass of water during one meeting. Pierre Nkurunziza. On 8 June, the government of Burundi announced that the President Pierre Nkurunziza had died of a heart attack after a brief illness, but according to local news outlets, he was infected with coronavirus that took his life. However, the senior officials denied the reports as rumors. Weeks earlier, the president had downplayed the pandemic and allowed campaigning for new elections. Louis Abinader, the newly elected president of Dominican Republic, was tested positive on 11th June. His wife also tested positive at the same time. It was told that the president got infected during election campaign for presidency when he organized the solidarity route to help country amid COVID-19 pandemic. On 17 June, Honduran President Juan Orlando Hernandez reported that he and his wife had contracted the virus. Despite being hospitalized and treated for pneumonia, the president worked remotely and instituted tough measures to prevent the spread of disease. He also advocated equitable access to any COVID-19 vaccine upon its discovery. Next on the list is former president of Kazakhstan, Nursultan Nazarbayev. He was diagnosed with COVID-19 on 18 June. He self-isolated and worked remotely. He also raised funds to fight pandemic. By the end of June, he had gathered $70 million, which was used to aid 500,000 families in 23 cities. Jair Bolsonaro. 65-year-old Brazilian president announced his illness in the first week of July. For months, he had downplayed the virus, saying that it was just a little flu. He was taking hydroxychloroquine, even though the health experts had warned him that it was not appropriate for COVID-19 treatment. Interim President of Bolivia, Janine Áñez Chávez, tested positive on 9 July. She was the third Latin American leader to contract the virus. Several top Bolivian officials and cabinet members also tested positive. Janine was also candidate for presidency elections in October but later opted out. Isatou Touré, Vice President of Gambia, Isatou Touré was infected with the virus on 29 July. Three other ministers were also tested positive. President Touré responded well to the treatment and resumed her office early in August. Alexander Lukashenko, 66-year-old Belarusian president, contracted the virus in July. Earlier, he had dismissed the concerns about the virus as psychosis and recommended drinking vodka to stay healthy. He also refused to impose strict lockdown in the country and took no comprehensive measures against the virus. Abdullah Hoti, Kosovo Prime Minister Abdullah Hoti announced in his 2nd August Facebook post that he had contracted the virus and would self-isolate for 2 weeks. Hoti came to power in July when his predecessor Albin Kurti lost a vote of no confidence due to his handling of the pandemic situation. Silvio Berlusconi, three-time ex-Prime Minister of Italy, was hospitalized on 2nd September when he tested positive. The 83-year-old leader, infamous for controlling media and tried for sex scandal, called his infection as the most dangerous test of his life. Alejandro Giammattei. On 18 September, Guatemalan President Alejandro Giammattei tested positive with the virus. The president, who also has multiple sclerosis and uses crutches to walk, had earlier said that he was a high-risk patient. He said that his symptoms were mild, he would keep himself busy and work from home. M. Venkaiah Naidu, Vice President of India, M. Venkaiah Naidu was found to be infected on 29 September. The 70-year-old leader was asymptomatic and in good health. He remained in isolation at home and resumed his office after recovery. Last but not the least, former President of the United States was diagnosed with the coronavirus along with his wife Melania on 2nd October. The couple was quarantined. His symptoms were mild, but overall he was in good health. He returned after recovery, campaigned for presidency against Democratic leader Joe Biden, and lost by a reasonable margin. Folks, that is the end of our list. Please tell us about your suggestions and criticism in the comment box below, and don't forget to subscribe our channel Vimu's World. Bye for now. Stay safe, stay healthy.